everyone. Welcome to Confidently Be You. My name is Jennifer Shlomovich, and today my special guest is Gloria Cuberos, who's from Bogota, Colombia. Gloria has a computer science background and is a coach who helps others strengthen their leadership and communication skills. After going through a divorce, Gloria had to redefine herself as a single mom, which is what we'll be discussing today. Gloria, welcome.
Thank you, Jennifer, for inviting me for this space.
Yeah, it's so great to connect with you. So before we dive in our topic of redefining who you are as a single mom, which is certainly something I can also relate to, what inspired you to get into the work that you do?
Well, it's fun because I studied computer science. It was like a matter that I was trying to understand computers. But as I was working for big corporations, I saw that people in the office many were leaders because they were in that hierarchy. They were well respected, but they were not necessarily there by their own merits. You know that they stay for so long, but they don't pull out people's best management. And then I wondered, what is it that some leaders are different from others, that they can pull out the best in you, or they do nothing with you, and then you still have to respect them because they are leaders. And I, of course, wanted to be a leader. So and it didn't have to do with the things that they studied or they knew, or they were their abilities. Well, now today I see it's with their abilities, but nobody teaches you that at school.
Right.
So it was like, I want to learn about that. I want to become more a people-oriented person. And then I started what were the options there. And then I got a manager. I got into sales. I was someone with huge bits and bytes in my head. And then I wanted to go into sales. And people asked me, why are you going into sales? You're like just a geek. I said, because I want to know why people do some stuff. And then I got a manager who was a sales manager. And I said, well, I would like to learn many things from a sales manager. What should I do? How should I behave? How should I go and communicate with customers, be able to sell? And this manager was very, very poor on that. He just wanted the money to come in, and that was all. And I hired a coach. I said, I want to become a salesperson, but I don't feel very good support from my manager. And with very few sessions, with very practical knowledge that I could apply instantly, I said, well, I would like to do for others what this guy's doing with me, because I jumped my stages and I said, I would love to help others like that. So I started looking for programs, and then I certified myself.
That's a great story. So you had one career plan in mind, and then while you were working on building that career, you discovered a whole other area that you wanted to work in.
Basically, yes. It was like fixing computers by fixing human beings. If you can fix a human being, that's pretentious.
Well, our brains are like computers, right? All the thoughts and the beliefs, and we run on our own programming. So it's interesting how that's transferable. It's just with a person instead.
Yeah, it's true.
So today we're going to talk about being a single mom. And when you become a single mom, there's a lot of identity shifts and a lot of challenges that you experience. So what are some of the biggest challenges that most single moms experience?
Well, you mentioned that it was like redefining yourself. Like, I wonder, when you are growing up, you aspire to be perhaps part of a partnership with your husband and then a professional woman. That's all. Unless you have very clear ideas when you're very young, you're never aspiring to be a single mother.
Right.
So the first shock, even when you decided to divorce, was, hey, I am on my own. What's going on? And this guy isn't anymore with you, so you have to plan all your routines on your own, because the kid was very, very small in my case. So I had to plan some time aside my own timing in order to dress him up, or pack the box lunch, or taking him to the bus. I'm sorry. And it was like the challenge of managing your time and your tasks and responsibilities, trying to raise that little child up, you know. The second one was like becoming in contact with myself, because I told you that I was an engineer, a geek. I was just thinking in work. So when Alejandro, my son, was going for the weekend with his father, I spent my whole weekend in at the job. Like, I invented myself. I need to go to work. This is the pending task. I won't wait until Monday. And after a year or so, I realized, who am I? I cannot be even on my own with myself. And that's really
Mm.
challenging, because if you're with yourself, you have to deal with your own thoughts, emotions, feelings, like that emptiness that he lives when he's gone. So I wonder, is it true that I just work and I am a mom? Wow.
Mm.
I didn't know even how to, I don't know, do manicure or a new hairdress or something like that. So I had to stop myself, force me to, and start investing time on me, like making connections with old friends, with family. I discover I enjoy a lot the company of other beings and getting to know what they're up to and how can I support them, or how can we just hang out together because we share some special affinity, perhaps. That was wonderful. And third, the challenge of on being you on your own with your little child, because
Yeah.
when I divorced, I went to my mother's house. I think
Mhm.
most of us do. Like, there's all your old stuff, but it's still there, you know. And then I purchased a small apartment, and the very first night, I was about turning off the light, and I said to myself, what would happen if something happens around here? Who must fix it? Like, if there's a flood of the water, or if the lights go out, I should be brave enough to stand and go and look for the candle and lead it for both of us. You know, I have to be brave. And that was challenging because I was used to rely on someone else's caring for me, caring. So yeah, being there for him.
I relate to so much of what you just shared, and being brave, yeah, because you're doing all these things alone. If there's a challenge, you have something wrong. Like, I moved to another apartment, but still I had to make like all these different decisions when I was a single mom, and it's different when you have a partner to like discuss making a house decision with. It's like, oh my God, I have to make this decision by myself. And it can be very scary. And also, yeah, when you have those weekends when they're with the other parent and you're alone with yourself, it's like, what do you fill up that time with? I used to fill it up with chores or try to catch up with things. But even then, I was still like lost and trying to like figure out, who am I? I did reconnect with some friends, but also was like making new friends. Like, what am I about? Like, I really, again, had a lot of time with my thoughts and, who am I? What am I about? And taking that time to explore. I live in New York City, and I remember one time I everyone was busy. It was like around the holiday time, and I had no one to hang out with. So I ended up taking myself out in a date to the city. I brought my journal and I went into the city and I looked at the holiday decorations. I took myself out to dinner and I journaled and I just wrote different things. And then there was like this little concert going on for this band I went to check out. I like didn't know who they were. It was like a small, cheap concert I went to. And I had this fun evening by myself. And that was something I started to do more and more. Like, I started to really, like, if I don't have people to hang out with, doesn't mean I can't go out and have fun. And like, by journaling, it was like me being able to like really connect with my thoughts and my feelings. And I and I think that was like when my journaling practice was really, really supportive. It was when I felt alone, it allowed me to like talk to myself.
Definitely. And enjoy yourself. You discover you can enjoy yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I remember I went to this diner right near the big Macy's where they have like the Thanksgiving parade and the holiday. There's like this nice diner there, and I just went there and I just sat with my thoughts for like an hour before going out, and it was nice. And I started to value that time. And so yeah, it takes time becoming comfortable being alone with yourself. But what I started to do is I started to become my own best friend. Like I started to connect, and having that self connection, I realized is so important. And something that when we work with other clients as coaches, we help people connect with themselves, and when you're alone, it gives you it allows you to connect with yourself on that whole other level.
Yeah, that's totally true. And
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah. Being a single mom is fascinating. And then when you start dating, that can be a whole other interesting experience as a single mom. What have your experiences been with dating as a single mom?
You know, after a while of being divorced, I decided that I wanted to find a partner, and my friends were very keen to find some partner for me. Like, hey, let's go on a blind date with blah blah blah. And that blind date was so awful. Like, oh, how did my friend think that I would match with this person? But it was a nice job, them in being interested in you, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But then after a couple of blind dates, I decided no, there's too little time I really invest on my channel in order to be dating with people that I'm not interested in being. It was a funny story because it was like that 22 years ago when we were just changing the internet from becoming on your telephone line.
Oh, the dial up.
So you had to dial up into the internet. So I started looking partners online. It was really weird at that time that you here in Colombia at least were about to date someone that you didn't know but you met online. And I gave myself another chance to do a match but before I had the chance to speak with some guys online to see who am I interested to date with and who I am not, so I wouldn't waste my time that I could invest in my child, you know.
Yeah, online dating, that's I since got remarried, and when I met my husband also online. And we just took our time getting to know, and he has kids too, and close to the age of my son, who my son's now 16, so all our kids are older now, but at that time they were younger. And so and most of the time we had like the free weekends around the same time, and then our kids would be with us, and then but sometimes one of us would have something happen where the scheduling would be different, so then we wouldn't see each other for maybe a month during weekends because our weekends didn't match up because of scheduling changes with the other parent, so we had to like navigate all of that. But yeah, that was an interesting time because after we took some time before we shared with our kids, and then we introduced each other as friends at the time just so they could you ease into it. But it is scary when you start doing that, and getting your kids involved, and it's a whole process to to navigate, and it can be very scary, like especially when you're first dating again after being in a relationship for a long time, and being married, because there's a lot of emotions that go along with that.
Yes, definitely. And the negotiations with your partner, as you're mentioning, like what are your schedules, my schedules, your kids, my kids, your priorities, my priorities. Wow.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot to navigate. Um, and then what are some what are some tips that you would like to share with other single moms who that could help them with their process?
Yeah, something that is that we practice a lot in coach, like trust the process.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, trust the process of enjoying yourself, or of discovering yourself, of raising your kid, because I try not to be so bossy, like, you want to do that this, perhaps I could foresee that he's going to fall, but let him fall, let him find out what the experience is about, because you perhaps may tend to be overprotective. So through the
Hmm.
process he will fall, but you will be there to help him stand up, and that's physically, but emotionally as well, in their relationships. um Trust your gut. In, I don't know, I be visiting like homeopathics, because he has some respiratory um illnesses, and
Hmm.
everybody looks you like you're crazy, that's magic. But I went to the homeopathic therapist, and I found out that he was doing well with that. You are the mom, you have to observe your kid, and decide what you have to do, because other people are always uh, very opinionated in my feeling, and they want to help you because they see you alone. um
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just nodding and agreeing.
Okay, and finally, communicating well with him. Because I was all my time out, working. I was fortunate because my mother took care of him when he went back from school.
Hmm.
So if he had to go to the dentist, I was managing all over the phone. Like, are you going to the dentist? And at what time? What happened with the dentist? And I was aware. So he knew I was there. And
Hmm.
afterwards, I spent time communicating with him. What did you do at school? How did you feel? One thing you say, tips. I was really scared not to bond with him, and I started when he was very young, like asking questions. When he comes back from school, who did you meet? Who is your best friend? What's your favorite
Hmm.
subject? It was like subject to examination, and he said yes, no, Pedro, fine, and I wasn't able to connect. So I went to one psychologist, and she told me, you're just asking questions. Why don't you share what you're doing? And he will come up naturally with his stories. It
Hmm.
worked very well. Have you tried that? Did you have any chance to communicate with your kids like that?
Yeah, so like I would share with my son a little bit about like work and sometimes like I didn't have any help with him. So when I had to, if I like when I was at work and like school was closed for like the Christmas holiday for like the week for like the entire week until after New Year's, sometimes I'd have to find they have like these little holiday camps here where they teach like cooking or like other different things, and then they're pricey. That was one of the other challenges as a single mom was like childcare sometimes when you need it. And so sometimes, yeah, I would put him in like these camps and he would like learn and I would ask him about it. But sometimes he'd come to work with me and he would like see like what I was doing and I would explain to him like about my work. And yeah, I would try to like share little things about my day. It was very important. And the other thing I want to add with it too is we created our own little traditions where when he was really young and it was a Friday night, we would have what we would call a slumber party where I would get like I had these like little plates. It's funny, we were reminiscing about this the other day. I was like, remember those little animal plates I used to get? I used to get these little plates that had like different animals on them, and we would put like special snacks on it. And then we would pick a DVD and we would watch it and we would call it a slumber party. So we like created these like special traditions we would where we would like well that one, or like do our own little holiday traditions if it was something just with us, or sometimes we were able to like spend time with family. But yeah, it's so important to communicate with them and talk with them and find those find ways to connect. And it can be hard, especially if you're working and you have a full day and then you're like exhausted. But if you can find those like special little ways to connect and share, um, it's so great in helping them build that dialogue with you and learning to open up with you.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what else I found very useful? Bonding with others, mothers in similar situations, you know?
Yeah.
All of us face the same story, and many of us face it in different ways. So you learn from one another, you support each other, you can hang around with the other ladies and find out what they can do about this stuff, you know?
Yeah, support is so very important. And there's, I don't know in Colombia if they have this, there's this group called Meetup. It's an online thing called meetup.com where you can like find different groups with different hobbies. Like they have dating ones, but they have like, it's more about hobbies. Like there's different mom groups, and that's like a really great way to like find people who are in a similar situation of something that you're going through, whether it's a hobby or a life stage. So this way you can like connect and meet up for coffee or meet up at a public park and connect with other because like you said, it's so important to connect with those other moms because you can learn a lot from them. You can support each other when you're stressed out about something. They're going to understand because they're going to be going through a similar type of challenge. And so it is definitely important to create that support. And I think also it's so important to be kind to yourself and not be so hard on yourself if you make a mistake or you feel like, oh, I could have handled something better, because it's a learning process, right? And just like when you're a parent for the first time, you're learning as you go along. And the same thing as being a single mom is you're going to learn and you're going to adjust, and you can make things better as you go through the experience.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. And the other thing too that I would add on tips is self-care. It's so important to have that self-care time for yourself and to take care of yourself. I know one of the things I used to run into is I used to feel like I had to do cleaning and chores and try to do all those things on the weekends that I was free. So then I wouldn't do them. So I would be more free for him on the following weekends. But then I was burnt out because I was either working, spending time with him, or busy doing a bunch of chores and then not giving myself a break in any of that. And so I tried to find a balance. And my son, I would have him do chores with me. Certain weekends, like he would go do laundry with me and we would do the shopping together. Because, you have to learn how to learn about these things at some point. So I found I would try to make it fun when we would do certain chores together. But yeah, I feel like it's so important to balance out your time instead of trying to cram in everything, because then you're going to get burnt out eventually because you're not going to have any time for yourself. So it's so important to balance things out.
Yes, I had to do similar things, so for him to feel that this was also his space, that he
Yeah.
would have to take care of it as I did, at the limits of his age, of course, as he was raising and becoming more responsible into the works of the house. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. It's doing age appropriate chores, and then as they get older, just adding more to it. Now my son does his laundry, so he's been doing it for a few years. So that's been great. I just because that's a lot of work when you're doing your laundry and your kid. So yeah, a few years ago when he was like 13, 12, 13, uh we went to the laundromat and I showed him, what to do, and now he does his laundry. So
Beautiful.
yeah, so this has been a great conversation. Are there any resources that you would like to recommend for anyone who's watching?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yes. Well, I read two books. Well, emotional intelligence has always been something that it has been driving me for 20 years, perhaps, when I discovered that concept. Like, okay, you see that your kid is falling from the tree and you don't become desperate. You come and pick him up and see how he's doing, rather than becoming emotionally stuck. I mean, I'm exaggerating, of course. But it helped me to balance in some difficult situations my communication with him.
Mm-hmm.
I and find the books that fit what you're feeling. I especially read The Spiritual Life of the Child because I
Ooh.
wanted to connect with that being that was being raised from a spiritual point of view, because I'm very much a spiritual person. I wanted to understand how could I give the concepts or communicate with him from that special space that I have in my mind. It was just for me, not for teaching someone else anything. And discipline with love, because I am very disciplined. I want to do these things to be done at this time on Monday at noon. And I wonder, how can I express love if I am just too rigid on my own? So
Yeah.
yeah, be firm, but be loving, caring, show your support.
That's great. I love that. Yeah, it's those are important things to learn and understand. I'm also a spiritual person, so that sounds like a really great book to read, and yeah, understand your child not only as just a person, but who they are as a spiritual being. That sounds really beautiful. And yeah, you can discipline with love, and finding that balance with all of it. Those sound like really great resources.
Yeah, very helpful for me.
That's great. Well, it was so great talking with you today, and I really enjoyed connecting with you. What is the best way for people to contact you?
Oh, yeah, I have my pages in Facebook and Instagram. Those
Okay.
are Cuberos Gloria Coach. And in LinkedIn, you find me just as Gloria Cuberos. That'll be it.
Okay, and I can also put the links in the notes below this video. So if you would like to connect with Gloria, you can go down to the links below. All right, Gloria, well, it was so great having you on today, talking about redefining yourself as a single mom. And thank you all for joining, and I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next week. Bye.
Thank you, Jennifer, for making this space.
Welcome.